And refresh the screen. I'll go back and view the assignment again. And here I can see Similarity Report is pending. Sometimes it takes a minute or so for that to generate. Now I can see a Similarity Report has been generated. I see a percentage and a color. The color coding is as follows. 75 to 100% similar is red. 50 to 74% is orange. 25 to 49% is yellow. A single matched word up to 24% is green, and 0% is blue. You can click on this pencil, the color, or the number to cross over into the evaluation viewer to take a look at the paper. I can see the 3 layers over on the right. Red is for similarity, blue is for feedback, and purple is the grammar check. First, we'll look at the similarity layer. If I expand that, I can see the first tab is for the match overview. This shows us the top matches or primary sources. I can see 100% of this paper is similar when compared against sources in our databases and repositories. If I click on the arrow to the right of the number, I can see the match breakdown, which will show me smaller or equivalent size matches behind this overall top match. And I see quite a few 100% matches. I'm just going to remove those. This is a demo paper that's been used in quite a few trainings. Note that I clicked Exclude Sources at the bottom, which gives me the ability to remove any sources that I feel are not applicable. This is an option that instructors have. If I remove those, I now have a very different looking match overview. I have 3 primary sources that do not overlap, so they're separated and color-coded with the color coding reflected with highlights on the paper. If I take a look at this first match, looking at this match instance here, a window is opened up right above it, and I can compare. In red, I see what was used on the paper. Surrounding text and other text in black. I see the word R was changed to represent. I see a few words were taken out by the student. I also see a link here. Since it's an internet source, that link would take me to the external site. And there's a button for the full source view. That will give me a side-by-side look at all the full source text from that website over on the right. And now I see some more information with highlighted text. I see the word great was changed to sufficient. The word such was changed to giant. Despite the limited attempt at paraphrasing by the student, we were still able to identify these matches. I'm going to close the full source text and click on the arrow to the right of the number to see what's behind this 41%, telling me that 41% of the paper is similar to this overall site. Now I can see the smaller matches and sub-URLs underneath. Here's a student paper match, which will not show me all of the text from the other paper due to privacy concerns. It's a paper submitted at another school. It will show me highlighted on this paper what is similar, however. If I want to view the full text of that other student paper from the other school, I would have to submit a request. I can do that by clicking on the school name, and then I can click Send a Request to view this paper. This would send a request that would go through email, and then the teacher or an administrator at the other institution, that instructor or administrator or teacher can choose to release the full text of the paper by email. Other tabs. The All Sources list shows me a full list of all sources, regardless of whether or not it's a top match or primary source. Filters and Settings allows you to make adjustments to the filters and settings and see how they affect the report just for the paper you're looking at. So I can make changes and click Apply Changes to push those changes through. I can see then which matches are disappearing or reappearing based on the level of small source exclusion that I use. And the fourth tab is for excluded sources. Any sources I excluded can be brought back. I can restore them by checking the boxes or clicking Restore All instead of Restore. So that's how you use the similarity layer. I'm going to hide that layer by clicking at the top. You can do that for any of these layers. And I move on to the feedback layer. First, quick marks, which are the drag and drop or insertable comments. You can drag and drop them onto the paper, and you can shift quick mark sets using the drop-down, changing to a different set of quick marks. I can click on the paper and just click quick mark on the left if I want to insert it. When students click on a quick mark, they can see a description about it, and you as the instructor have the ability to add your own comments to it. You can use bold, italics, underline, or web links for your comments as well. If I click outside the box, it disappears. Note that I can see a bubble here in the quick mark showing that there is an instructor comment there. If I click on a quick mark, it's possible to assign a rubric criterion to that quick mark just by clicking Assign Criterion and clicking on the criterion of choice. You can also highlight text and select bubble comment or quick mark to comment on it. If you find that you're typing the same comment over and over again, note that there's a Convert to Quick Mark option that would allow you to convert it to a quick mark. You would just give it a name and select which set of marks it belongs in. Note also you can select and change the highlight color in the upper right-hand corner. You can also highlight text and cross it out using strike through on the right, and you can click on the paper and on the right select inline text to just type on the paper directly. The next button in the feedback layer is the feedback summary. Here you can leave voice-recorded comments that are up to 3 minutes long. I just click record. I can pause the recording and restart it at any time. I can stop it. Note that there's a trash can icon allowing you to discard it. After playing it back, if I decide I want to keep it, I can just click Save Recording. You can also type out your text comments for summative feedback. And I click outside the box to save. When it's time to score with the rubric, I can click on the rubric button. Using the sliders, I can make my selections for how many points the student should have for each criterion. If you see a bubble with a number in it, that indicates how many marks or comments are tied to that rubric criterion. I click Apply to Grade to push the grade through. Note also, there's this icon here to use full-size rubric in a new window in the upper right. Here you can click directly into the rubric to make your selections. Then click Apply to Grade to push it through, and Close to close that window. So now I've graded. I'm going to hide that layer and go to the ETS grammar check layer at the bottom. This will do the automatic grammar check and load the feedback. You'll see for grammar, mechanics, style, usage, and spelling how many marks there are under each category. It is possible, if you don't agree with the mark, it is an automated grammar check, so some vetting may be required, and it's not necessarily the final verdict. If you disagree with a mark that you see, you can always click on it and click Dismiss to remove it. It's possible to reveal it again later if you want to. You can also click on an ETS mark and add comments to it as an instructor. And instructors and students can click where it says View Handbook to view the ETS handbook. You'll see the table of contents in the upper left, and in the upper right, it's possible to adjust the level or switch to the English Learner's Handbook if that would be more helpful or applicable. So those are the 3 layers of Feedback Studio. Note that you can zoom in or out in the lower right, and in the upper right, you can use arrows to go from one paper to another, or the drop-down to select a submission to stay within this window and move from one submission to the next. Note there's a gear icon at the lower right, giving you the ability to view submission information or even download digital receipt, originally submitted file, or a current view PDF, which would pull all of the information that's currently viewed into a PDF file that you can then print or save. So now I'm going to go back to the Blackboard Navigation. I can see that the Similarity Report is updated here. That number is updated based on changes that I made. When I excluded sources, or when you adjust filters, you may see it update. I'm going to refresh. And note you can jump back in to open things up whenever you want to. I'm going to talk now about Peermark. It's a different assignment type. Here, this icon, Launch Peermark Manager, would allow me to create a layer for peer review. Right now there are no Peermark assignments, but if I click on the plus sign, I can create one. First, I can edit the title and instructions. Maximum points available would be the points given to the reviewer for completing a review. And then you can set your dates as far as the review window and when feedback is available. Then there are additional settings. First, whether or not the system should automatically award points for completion, or if I select no, then you, the instructor, would enter how many points the reviewer should get. Also, whether or not students can view the names of their peers, or if that's anonymous, and whether students who've never submitted a paper can be a reviewer. You can set it to automatically distribute papers for review, and how many the system would automatically distribute, or if students can self-select papers for review, and whether or not students should review their own paper as well. I click Save and Continue. And then another tab here for Peermark questions. This is where you create or select the questions. I can click Add Question to create either a free response or scale type question. For scale, selecting the scale size, highest to lowest. For free response, the minimum number of words required for an answer. You can also save to library and create your own library to add questions to, or select Add from Library to get to your library, or the sample library, which has questions pre-created, giving you some examples you can work with. I just selected 2 questions, and I click Add Selected Questions to add them. I can edit those questions using these buttons, the blue ones, or delete them here, and I can reorder them. If I click Reorder Questions, I can just move them around like this. So it's pretty simple and straightforward. Then we get to distribution, where you have the ability to manually pair students together. Just going to click Save and Continue one more time, just to be certain. that I have everything saved and close that window. Now I'm going to click where it says Launch Turnitin Peermark Review to see where the reviews go. If I click Review, click this button, it'll give you an idea of what it looks like for the peer reviews to be completed. Questions are over on the right. Here's a scale question and a free response. Now, based on completion, I would be done here and get full points. However, if you set it up for the instructor to decide how many points the reviewer would get, the instructor would have a box here in the upper right where they can enter the number of points. Note there's also a Tools button in the upper left, which would allow one to drag and drop comments or highlight in one of 5 colors and comment on what is highlighted. Or select strike through to cross something out, or underline. Commenting on those as well. You can also type inline text directly on the paper in one of 5 colors. And close that. Note that comments and marks show up under the Comments tab over on the right. So that's how a student would complete a peer review. You can also do instructor reviews this way. Next, I'm going to go over on the left-hand side, the Grade Center. Now, I haven't pushed the grade yet for that assignment, but I'm going to go to the Full Grade Center. If I go to the Full Grade Center, I'm going to take a look at the column for this assignment I just created. Right now, the column's not visible to users. This is where you can see the column. Note, when you find that column, if you click on the arrow to click for more options, it is possible to edit the column information. Here I can change the Grade Center name for that column and description. Note that I can also change the primary display. I can change it to a different type of grading. And change the category. So if you have a custom grading schema for your school, you would have to change it by editing the column. After creating the Turnitin assignment, you would create this change in the system for a weighted total. A few other things to mention. If you want to access guides, you can always go to guides.turnitin.com. There you can find help through our guides. You would want to click on integrations and then Turnitin direct under Blackboard. So integrations, then Blackboard, then the direct integration, direct 2.5. That'll give you access to guides for the Blackboard direct integration for Turnitin. Also, if you need to contact our technical support team, you can always do that by emailing tiisupport@turnitin.com. Again, that's tiisupport@turnitin.com. If you email that email address, one of our agents will be in touch via email, and you'll have a case ID number for tracking. Thank you, everyone. Again, this was a training in Blackboard Direct for Goodwin College for Turnitin assignments using the direct integration for Blackboard.